That's something that we have an initial instinct in some respects. And the problem is sometimes we think that it's what we say that's actually communicating that. Time will tell whether or not what we're saying actually matches with reality, but we can usually have a pretty good sense right up front whether or not the true mindset, the way they're seeing me, jives with what they're saying. In fact, let me give you an example of this. I had a boss a number of years ago. His name was Ted. Ted owned this company. I did an interview with Ted. I interviewed way down. I was a junior person within this organization. I had a presentation that I had to give to a group of customers, group of clients. And I was really kind of nervous about it. It was a big deal in my early career. I'd only been with this organization a few months. I knew that it was important to the organization as well as to myself, so I was stressed. I didn't care about knocking it out of the park. I just didn't want to screw it up. Okay? So I go and I have this presentation. Again, a pretty critical one. I come back to my office after hours. It's kind of later in the evening. I'm kind of getting ready to go home. I think I'm the only one there. Putting my stuff into the bag, and I don't know. I just didn't know if I'd done a good job. I was worried. I was concerned. Now, Ted had a really interesting demeanor. Ted had kind of a perma-scowl about him. Just had this kind of grumpy-looking demeanor. I remember he'd walk up and down the halls, his arms would be flapping all over. It looked like he was going to take flight, right? He's ready to take off. Incredibly politically incorrect, socially awkward. He was like 123 or 124 when I was working for him. Still alive today. It's incredible, remarkable. Thank you, medical science. So I get done with this presentation, all right? And again, just feeling kind of low, like I might have screwed something up. Ted, the owner of the company, out of the blue, pops into my office. I didn't know if he was even still in the building. He walks in and says, Dave, I saw your presentation. You got to stop doing this, this, and this, and start doing this and this. If you got it, yes, sir, good. Do it. Turned and walked out. How did I feel about my boss? What do you think? How would I describe him using PG language? What do you think? Brash, jerk, okay. Now let me give you some other context here. I'd only been there, like I say, a few months. Ted knew my name. He knew my wife's name. He knew our newborn son's name. What's a little unsettling to me now is that he actually knew our newborn son's birth weight. I don't know how he knew that information at the time. But he used to make jokes. He'd say, hey, you better watch yourself or Dave's son's going to take you out back and beat you up. He was born 9 pounds, 12 ounces. He could take you right now. He knew me. He was curious about me. In fact, I remember a couple days after I started work there, Ted came into my office unannounced. And again, I interviewed like 6 layers down, right? Ted, owner of the company, walks into my office, says, Dave, have you got a minute for me? Like I'm going to say no. No, Ted, I'm really pretty pressed. Check with my assistant. Sure, come on in. Ted comes in. He sits down. He says, Dave, I've been in my office thinking about you. I've been reviewing your resume. I see the answers that you gave to the questionnaire, and I think I see where you want to go with your career. I think we can help you get there. I think it's going to be a good place for you, and I think we can help you get where you want to go. He says, but you know what? Looking at where you want to go with your career, I wanted to go a similar direction when I was younger, but I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Would it be helpful to you if I shared with you some of those mistakes? Yeah, it'd be great. I remember a time where I was with a group of associates and Ted all of a sudden just appeared, had a hand on my shoulder. Nobody ever saw him coming. Do you know anyone like that? You never see him actually coming, they just kind of appear? Ted was like that. Hand on my shoulder. Dave, we're about to acquire a company in Colorado, and this is kind of what we're thinking we're going to do with them. What do you think about that? Any blind spots? Do you think that makes sense strategically? Me? What do I know? I remember trying to answer the question. I remember being almost uncomfortable with the level of interest he had in my answer. He actually valued what I said and really felt as though I had something to contribute to that organization. Ted was invested in my success so long as I was invested in the organization. I had no doubt about that. I trusted Ted. Ted wanted me to be productive and successful. Now I want to go back to that moment where he dropped into my office and said the following, Dave, you have got to stop doing this, this, and this and start doing this and this. Have you got it? Yes, sir. Good. Do it. Turned and walked out. How did I feel about my boss? Is it different? Do you see what happened there? The script didn't change. The tone didn't change. You see, what's coming through when I give you that context is the mindset. You now have a clear understanding of how Ted saw me. It's not the things that we say and do that provoke or invite agreement or anything else. It's the mindset with which it's delivered. And that can't be faked. That's coming through loud and clear, even when we don't realize it. The scary thing is we can lie to ourselves about our own mindset, but still communicate it to somebody else and then get annoyed at the way that they act responding to our provocation. Now, Ted didn't do anything right from a communication consultant standpoint. Think about it. Didn't come in and give me 5,000 compliments before he gave me the one slight criticism. Didn't mirror my body language, so we're kind of in sync or rhythm. I don't know what that's all about, but there wasn't, appropriate amount of human touching to show that we're both human beings, but not so much as to alert HR, right? None of that. None of that. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Ted cut right through. Can you see what can happen within an organization when our mindset is outward, when we see people as mattering? We're interested, we're curious about their pressures, headaches, issues, constraints, and I take them into account in the way that I go about doing my job. That's where trust comes from. Trust comes from an organization like that. When you have a trusting organization, a team, and other relationships, you can move fast. You can get things done. It's incredible. Now, in order to do this, in order to, number one, get ourselves out of these collusions and get ourselves out of the box and build this kind of an organization, it requires a particular pattern. We're going to see how we can turn out. This is going to be the mindset change tool that we're going to leave you with. Okay? We'll have a little bit of a discussion about this. And again, I want you to notice the subtitle there, which is Ceasing to Work Against Ourselves. Okay? It was discussed quite a bit this morning from both, a little bit about self-awareness, the importance of seeing ourselves and understanding not just who we are, but how others experience us, how I see other individuals. Because you see, how I see other individuals is truly a reflection of how I see myself. So, I'm going to show you a video. This is Chip Huth. Chip is, he's no longer captain, he's now a major within the Kansas City Police Department. He's going to refer to a time where he was running the SWAT team in Kansas City. Running the SWAT team is a pretty dirty, violent business. A lot of flashbangs and breaking down house doors and serving high-risk warrants and things like that. Okay? You're going to see a little bit of a before and after with Chip, as he shifts from this inward way of seeing himself in relation to others and seeing other individuals to seeing himself and moving and shifting more outward. I just want you to see that shift because we're going to implement and utilize one of the tools that Chip used to successfully make this change. Please understand, this doesn't happen overnight. And please don't fall into the trap of just saying, are we inward or outward? Okay, I'm outward. We're always somewhere in between. The question should always be, could we be more outward toward the people that we work with, and what does that look like? We'll get there in just a second. So let's go ahead and watch Chip first.